Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, I'm Stephen Willis at this extra edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, joined by Bill Flowers. And Bill, I imagine after Saturday, there's a lot of people tuning into this video.
Well, I'm not sure what you want me to say about the Georgia game, so
we're going to put it in the trash. We're going to put it in the trash.
I'll keep my comments to myself. So some of your people that like to comment, don't trash you or me.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. But we'll talk about
they're a little sensitive.
Yes. It's one of those things to where there's 10% of the fan base that anytime anything that can be construed in any way as negative is being said, that doesn't need to exist.
You know, it's like that kid that's uncoachable. You're like, you tell him what he needs to do, and he goes and cries because you told him what he didn't want to hear. It's like, oh, okay. All right. We'll see how good you are in life.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a Michael Trigg situation, honestly, if you want to look at it. It's pretty much exactly what happened with him. But anyway, we digress a little bit.
Yeah.
Ole Miss plays ULM this weekend. This is a game that Ole Miss is favored by 37.5 points in. Were you ever favored in a 37.5 points in any college game that you played in?
I think maybe once, and it might have been against Louisiana Monroe. It was my junior year, Eli's senior year, and I think I played a quarter. We might have played a quarter, and we were up like 28 points by the end of the first quarter. So yeah, I think maybe one game like that.
If I remember correctly, that Louisiana Monroe game, it wasn't at that time. There was LSU, then Mississippi State. But it was probably right before the LSU game, wasn't it?
It might have been, and it could have been. I mean, it's too many hits to the head to remember that.
Yeah, a long way to go. In a game like this, you're going through that season. You know, let's just for the sake of argument say that game was before the LSU game and maybe after the Auburn game or something like that. I don't know the exact time frame either because, I mean, heck, that's 20 years ago. No offense there, Bill. But how do you get ready for that Louisiana Monroe game? What is practice like?
Are you saying if it was before an LSU game?
Well, if let's just say that you're going through in the season and we're not even going to take into the count because we know it's not after that LSU game, but let's just say it's before the LSU game, after the Auburn game. I don't know exactly.
Well, I mean, those are games where you're having to, try not to get hoodwinked by not overlooking your competition and just playing down to the level of your competition. Your really good teams will that are mature. Don't drink the rat poison. You focus on the opponent at hand and just take business as usual. That's what good mature teams do, but it's very natural and easy to play down to the level of your competition. It is. It's very easy. And so your strong mature teams are able to kind of keep from doing that. But I think this game in particular, you come off of getting your head handed to you by Georgia, which is probably the best team in the country. Then you're looking at Mississippi State that has, chaos going on right now. There's enough distractions going on right now that could cause problems because, you're thinking, well, haha, State, what's going on there? We just got our butt handed to us by Georgia. You got to focus. You have to focus on that. And I think that for Kiffin, for next year, having to think, okay, well, what's the opportunity for us to be able to see what we have for next year with Howard? Could we get up enough points to where we can play a lot of our younger guys? Can we do that? Can we see what our team has in the cupboard. That's one of the main reasons why teams want to go to bowl games, is because you get to play your younger players and get a lot of reps for them. And so I think this is one of the key factors for teams to say, listen, let's stay the course. Let's play with a focus, and let's get up high, and then we're going to pull you out. You don't tell the players that, but then you're able to get the young guys in. And I think it would be fun to see, Spencer and Howard getting some reps, seeing what the offense looks like, but especially with Howard, because, that's going to be an interesting offseason to see, what do you have with this kid that we all know has super talent. And if he feels like he's going to be stuck another year, potentially with no chance of even playing, you might see him go in the transfer portal. You never know.
Yeah, you have a situation. And I mean, the next, 6 to 8 weeks around Ole Miss football is just fascinating, because you have this game where Ole Miss has, honestly, they're 80% favorites on the FPI to beat Mississippi State. They're 99% favorites to beat ULM. So if everything just goes chalk, Ole Miss is going to go 10-2 this season. Then you have the bowl situation coming up. And I think, Bill, maybe style points are on the table. And I mean, this sucks for ULM and this sucks for Mississippi State. But if you're doing an either or beauty contest with Missouri, now your resume is better than Missouri, but right now Missouri's ranked 9th and you're ranked 13th. You need to do something to get people's attention. And I think Louisiana Monroe and Mississippi State might kind of take the brunt of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in that you have to have some style points, but if I'm Kiffin, I would like to see our style points, your first, quarter and a half, you just absolutely pound them to where you say, okay, we've done everything we needed to do. We're going to keep our guys clean and healthy. We're up by 28 points. Now let's pile it on by playing our other players. In the SEC, really, good teams, you're not gonna see a huge tail off between the first and second team. That's how you start to see like Alabama and LSU and Georgia, when they start putting their second team in, you don't see a huge drop. So for style points against Louisiana Monroe, you've got a problem on your hands for long term if you are up 30 points and then you can't move the needle on Louisiana Monroe with your second team. If that's the case, you're in trouble. So I don't think that would affect your style points.
All right, before we get out of here today, you played in that 2003 Egg Bowl. The rain was falling down, all of that. It was Jackie Sherrill's last game. Everybody talks about how miserable of an experience that game was.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the lead up to that Egg Bowl.
It's just, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, with me being from Alabama, there's such a big rivalry between in the Iron Bowl. I mean, it's huge. Ole Miss, not to disrespect State, but Ole Miss to me has always kind of looked at State as the little brother, never as equals and as a massive rivalry. It's been more of kind of playing your little brother. And part of that is because the Iron Bowl, you've got two great teams that are consistently in the top 25 or top 15 usually. And there's a lot riding on it. And when you have one team or two teams that really don't, aren't high up in the rankings, it's kind of seems to be a little bit of it's the end of the season. Yeah, let's win our bragging rights. But I just don't feel like the Egg Bowl has always been Ole Miss looking at State as, oh, this is our rivalry game. It's kind of a little brother thing. Like if you were to poll the players and poll the fans, who would you rather see, LSU or Mississippi State? I would say LSU. That's who you really are. So when you have a team like this where LSU or Mississippi State is just kind of squandered and they're blood in the water, pound them and win the bragging rights. But it's a difference between playing LSU. Now, if you ask Auburn, Alabama, that's the game that they're really looking for. And I hope, listen, I hope Mississippi State can get back to the point to where they're top, 25 consistently, because it only makes it better for the players. And it makes it better for the programs, because you want that. And so State's just not. I don't feel like State's anywhere near where Ole Miss is right now. So I think leading up to this game, the players are. I think you have to kind of keep them focused. You have to kind of keep them, grounded. And State, when we were playing them, it's going to be nasty. It's going to be cold. It's going to be raining. That's never fun. And I just remember, getting up there and, it's going to be a ground and pound. It's wet, nasty. It's cold. That's never fun.
Yeah, and we'll get into that next week when you come on the show. We'll talk plenty about that. So thank you very much for that. And thanks to everybody for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Bill Flowers, thank you for joining the show, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hi, Toddy.
Howdy, Toddy.